We're doing a brisket today. It's this one here is about a 12.5 pounder, just slightly trimmed up. I usually just use a dry rub and I put it on overnight and kind of let it set. One of the things I also like to do is take it out of the refrigerator and get the meat settled down so it's not totally cold when you put it on the pit. I like it to be probably more towards room temperature for beef. I use a small personal size pit for indirect heat, and these have the smokestack here. And what you kind of want to watch out for is you want to have, first of all, a clean fire, and I usually like to barbecue between 225 and 250. For these pits, right here where the little smokestack is, this kind of traps heat in this area and it does get a little hot and stuffy. So I do like to stay away from that a little bit, but I put the fatty side, the marbled side of the brisket, the high side, closer to the fire, and then I like this lean piece to be sitting over here. And you also have to be careful because you don't want to overcook this, and we'll just leave it sit here for a little while and then I'll show you the heat. Alright, so I have a nice looking fire in here, and these small indirect heat pits, I like to compensate a little bit. It's kind of cold this morning and I'm allowing for a little more oxygen to get in here to keep a nice clean fire going. What you want to look for is very little smoke coming out of here, and that's ideal right there. And I am at pretty close to that 250 mark, and that's where I want to manage this fire. So we're all set to do some barbecuing. Alright, the fire continues to burn real nice and clean, and I continue to maintain the temperature right about 250. You just got to kind of keep an eye on it. Sometimes you have to stoke the fire if necessary. You want to avoid lifting up the pit lid too much. If you're looking, you're not cooking. That's the old saying. And I like to keep my brisket on there without foil, and just keep a nice clean burning fire and even temperature, and you're going to be doing yourself a good job. Alright, it is about, I don't know, we're about 250, but I am going to still add another log, another quick piece to keep it at a constant temperature. And this is just kind of how you do it. Just keep managing the fire and keep it clean. Alright, so while you're waiting on the brisket to cook, it's a good idea to keep your fire wood stocked up. For those smaller style pits, I like to keep, these are pretty much ideal for the size, so I usually just like to split these, and this is oak wood that I'm using here. You want to see, this is post oak, so I'm looking at these fibers in here. This is good and dry wood. Take it, split it, and then I'm going to come here with this fine axe and then get it in smaller pieces. There we go. And this is a perfect piece of wood to use on that small pit. It's also a good time to make some barbecue sauce while you are cooking your barbecue. Alright, so I'm getting close to the 4-hour mark, and what I'm looking for is good equal distribution. We've got some good color on here now. The butcher made a mistake, so I had to compensate for that, and another little mistake with his knife here. You get some juices going. For most people, it's just a decision how you want to proceed. I don't particularly like to use foil, but you can. Some also like to put a bowl of water in here to keep it moist. depending on how quick you need to cook it. You can put foil, you can wrap it in foil. This particular brisket, since it's about 12.5 pounds, I'm probably in it about, I'd say 11 hours cooking it like this. And I'm just going to keep going. One other thing that this will be getting close to is that 160, 170 degree, where the meat stays at that temperature for a while, and you just gotta push through it and continue to be patient. Have even fire, even temperature. Alright, so I like to tell, this is the product just out of the pit there, and the way I like to tell that it's done is taking, you can use a fork or whatever, but I like taking this, and if this slides in and slides out without grabbing and lifting, you know your meat's thoroughly cooked through. You shouldn't have any, if it's grabbing and wanting to come back with you, that means it's not done, and it's just continuously sliding through. This meat is very, very tender and cooked. It's complete. Now I usually just wrap it in foil, and sometimes I'll put it in a thermos if I'm traveling. But you don't want to serve it right away after it's done cooking, because all the juices are under a lot of pressure, and they'll pour out. You just want your meat to relax, and I usually let it set and rest for about an hour before I serve it. So this is the final product here. As you're slicing through, the meat should be flexible. You should see a good smoke ring, and the fat on the top should be nice and soft. Thanks a bunch for watching. If you have any questions, let me know.